Here we go, 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 go, here we go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. And today we're doing it live, and we've got a breakout in the Bitcoin price chart, continuing to follow this crazy fractal that it's been following for, I don't know, when do I stop saying 5.5 months? When do I start saying 6 months? Let's see, we go back to, March 7th is when we stopped saying 5.5 months. Maybe it's now time to start saying almost 6 months. I think that's where we're at. Almost 6 months it's been following this thing. But Bitcoin on cue, on time, once again continues to follow it up, and we get a break up in the Bitcoin price chart here. And it's a live stream day, and what do we do here? Wait, we can't do that. It's not Wednesday. Whatever, let's do it.
It is Wednesday, my It is Wednesday,
Okay, that's it. All right. Are we ready to get serious here, man? Let's do it again. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the blockchain backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, it's been a long day already, right? I did the update over there to bcbacker.com, put out a quick little YouTube update this morning talking about the breakout. When I was recording that earlier today, we didn't have the breakout just yet. But man, we have now, so pretty amazing. Let's see here. Okay. Very cool. Wow. All right. I'm sorry, getting distracted here, guys. Oh, wow. Tarek Berezik, thank you so much. Holy cow. Man, thank you guys. All right. Let's dive into the content, man. It's very kind of you, Tarek. Thank you very much. Not necessary. Thank you very much. And Fifi Coins, thank you very much. All right. I like to go through a lot of content in the beginning or at least some content for the people who watch the rewatch of this. I understand everybody can't catch this thing live when it happens. But obviously this morning today, or this afternoon, I don't even know what time of day it is. Bitcoin's price broke back up, right? We could see what happened last time. This thing stalls out in here. It's very odd for me to sit here and to have to kind of lean on this so heavily and be like, yeah, so here's what we're going to do because this fractal says we're going to do it exactly at this time. But, what do you do? I mean, what do you do when you follow something so insane like this and you just continue to have the big fat moves happen right on time? So until things change, it's just kind of how it's at, right? And if we look to the past and what happens with Bitcoin, there's resistance in here for a couple of days, it looks like. So, if it continues following this thing, wouldn't be surprised if, we just kind of stall out here. So I think that's kind of what we're looking for. I think one thing you don't really want to see after you see a big pop like that is to see, oh, let me turn off the desktop audio, guys. Sorry if that's coming through there. That should stop that. The thing you don't want to see is the price just turn over on itself, right? In a short squeeze that just kind of went wrong and then it turned south on itself. So pausing and staying up here for a couple of days is a good thing. And that's what we're kind of hoping for. The thing that I talked about in the YouTube video is that the altcoin market popped up with this thing. And for seasoned vets who have been in crypto for a long time know that sometimes Bitcoin can just move on its own and not take the rest of the market with it. And that's not a healthy sign when that happens. I mean, it does happen all the time, is that, Bitcoin will just kind of swallow a different aspect of the market. And that's usually due to, margin calls happening. But we're not seeing that. We're looking over there on the right side of the screen. You can see there's a lot of green going on in the market right now. So this is a positive thing that's happening today. But once again, like clockwork, and annoying as it is, right on time, or not annoying, whatever you want to take. For me, it's just it's ludicrous, but right on time it pops up and goes. Now, one of the other things that we have followed for quite a while has been this thing, right? Was that good enough? Was was this our move right in here, right? You can kind of zoom in on it just a little bit. So these are what reversals look like. And this is Bitcoin flipped upside down. Let me go back to the standard scale. This is what everybody is used to looking at right in here, but we can look at reversal structures a little closer. And here, I can do this too. So this can maybe help people with their brains a little bit. I can invert the other one to kind of give you a clear look at what that looks like from that perspective. And I'll take these off so you could see. That's your standard kind of reversal structure that happens in there. And, was this, good enough to be our capitulative moment? And we went into it a lot last week that sure seemed like capitulation. And I'm looking at a lot of the comments that are coming through today and tweets and stuff like that. There is a lot of kind of disbelief out there on that move that happened right there. And I think people are just, quietly, you can't blame people really that a lot of people probably did get shooken out of the market last week. When you add all those fears, I even had my mom texting me saying, hey, I'm worried there's going to be some type of, hacking that's going to end up happening and stuff, right? So people in general are just on extreme high alert due to the geopolitical nature that's going on right now. But I think there was a pretty good shakeout that happened last week. So, are we good enough in here? That would indicate that, yeah, it was. But so this is still it. Now it's all about, reversal structures, right? If we're going to have something like that, it will drive people mad. It would be fantastic for the altcoin market to have something like that happen for Bitcoin on a longer term scale. But I think we all are cheering for this in the short term, right? So last week and the week prior to that, we went through a lot of the altcoins that, it took 25 to 40 days for the end of cycle alt season to play out back in 2018. That none of it happened slowly. And I've always said, Cardano went from 25 cents to $1.50. No, Cardano went from 12 cents to $1.50 in a matter of just 22 days. So, that's how these things play out. I think we're all cheering for that to happen here with Bitcoin in the short term. And I would say, it's a positive sign that the altcoin market is popping up with Bitcoin. It's a positive sign that Bitcoin popped up on cue, right on time when it was supposed to for this. But now it's the big answers to the questions on, the altcoin market. And that's kind of what we're all waiting on right at this point. One other thing, I was looking over here at XRP. I spent a lot of time studying the XRP price chart. We don't talk about it all the time on the YouTube channel because it's been just stuck in a consolidation range for, ever since April, the standard crash, retrace, reaccumulation, right? That these things typically do, like we showed over there on Bitcoin. You have your big fall, retrace back to 618, reaccumulation in here. I've been doing this YouTube channel since 2019. The XRP community is where my heart is at. And, we've been fooled by, fractals on XRP a lot. So, I'm going to show a fractal in here. I'll talk about what happened back in late 2017 before things took off. But, we've been hurt by fractals in the past, at least from a time perspective. Really, we were starting to get our breakout and our fractal play out in here until the SEC came along and started messing with our stuff. This is when Bitcoin was breaking out into an all-time high. That's also what was going on back in here. And so it was just looking so optimistic that we were getting ready to have our big shot and our big moment to go ripping and roaring at that point. But, good old SEC stuff. Let me do a couple of things here. One of the things with XRP has been that it's actually been in a similar range that it was during the last bull run. And, there are wicks that go higher, but if we look at kind of the candle closes of where XRP has been hanging out, it's been hanging out in the same range that it stalled out in its last ride up, right? And the thing that was interesting about all three of these moves is they were all like of equal length, and I'll show you that right in here. At least they better be, or else I'm going to look pretty silly doing that. Okay, yeah, so you can see this was of the same length. The next move was of the same length. And then this one taking off was of the same length as well from the breakout point. So, what we've seen so far has been that XRP's move was of that length, right? We moved up essentially that far for our first run, right? And now we've been stuck in consolidation for all of this time period. And, I came into the cryptocurrency market during this time period right in here. And I talked about that on an interview that I did on the Thinking Crypto YouTube channel the other day. And that it was, most people, when you come into the cryptocurrency market, it's because the market's flying. It's on the news coverage. Your friends are talking about it. Everybody's in it. Elon Musk is on Saturday Night Live talking about Dogecoin. Whatever the reason is, we all tend to come into the market when the market is moving in an upward direction. And that I just happened to get in, not for that reason, but because my brother-in-law was mining crypto, and I was like, "No, man, you're not you're not doing this without me." And he had been doing it for months already. He just never told me about it. And when he finally did tell me about it, it was right in here. And so I got to sit through a crypto summer winter myself in the right out the gates back in 2017. And I remember it was like, Bitcoin's moving up the whole time during this time period, and it was rough and brutal. But that's besides the point. I remember what it was like before it ended up taking off. We've seen moves of similar size in here. There was this ABC that took place in here right before we ended up taking off during that time period, and how we're having something similar to that going on right now. You have to understand that the only way this condition gets met is if Bitcoin's heading back into a retracement. And is Bitcoin heading back into a retracement with this big pop-up that we've seen so far this morning? And one would guess that it still looks likely that it is, based on how it's been playing out so far. And so you would need to be having that condition be met. And so XRP's bull run was 27 days long. You've got like 25 or so days until this thing would end up, breaking down. That's the 24th, right? That's 25 days away from right now if it follows that similar time structure. But oh man, please, please. We've got something similar happening in here. So March 1st. Please, March 1st. Today was the end of expert discovery over there in the Ripple and SEC lawsuits. So I saw that attorney John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan were both over there on BitBoy Crypto today. So that was awesome. I see that thing right there in the chat. Blockchain Backer, could you explain what you mean by right on time? Right on time is that we've been following this thing, and it's been going on for almost 6 months. And every major move we've had has been almost right on time. This was the time period where we would see a break back up, and we happened to get it right on time, just like we've gotten all of these moves essentially right on time. But XRP, come on. So conditionally, boy, that would sure be a nice thing for sore eyes right now, especially with the conditions being heading back into a retracement for Bitcoin. And we know that this top that happened in here back on January 5th was into the retracement for Bitcoin during the 2018 retracement. But we'll keep an eye on it. So what a day. What a day. All right. Let me not let this get too far away from me. Brandon, thank you so much for the super chat. And Michael Hinkle, here we go. What are your thoughts on March is the final push? Also love the content, but following you since March of 2020. Oh, hey, C19 time. March on the final push. I hope so. I think everybody hopes so, that it's coming in March, right? We talk about this a lot. You get that type of retrace structure happening in there. You're talking about a really drawn out time period. But I think we're all ready to just kind of take a little off the table. and I hope so, man. I've been trying to say, These things usually don't play out this long. They just eventually, finally break apart at some point, but it still hasn't. And today shows it still has not happened just yet. And so we're kind of in that period right in there, just hanging out. And this says you'd stay there for a few days. So try to find out where I am. Michael, thank you. Bradley Pierce, my girlfriend, when she hears you, hey, man, people tell me all the time, all your wives, your kids, they all know it. It's pretty cool. I'm a part of your life. Chris Conrad, the super chat. Are you concerned with the Bitcoin dominance at all? No, I'm not. We could try to pull up dominance later. No, not at all. I think the dominance is going to break down. I do. Alex Eigman with the super chat. Hey, BCB, if we're following this fractal, things should end in about 21 days. If the lawsuit isn't over in total 3, it's just at 4.236. You hold on to any XRP and wait until the lawsuit is done. Right. So I'm going to have to wait and see what the market is looking like. But, everybody's kind of got to make their own call. I just try to show you how the market has behaved in the past. In the end, everybody's responsible for hitting the buy and the sell button on their own. I see that, Ann. I see that. I must have done it. Yeah, it's up to everybody on what you're going to do, man. But I'll communicate whatever my decision is on that at the time. I really want to give it a little more time to play out. Things you just don't know how these narratives are going to change so quickly on a dime, right? If you just look to last Thursday, the world was utterly terrified, right? The market was capitulating. And then now here we are a few days later, we're right back on schedule. So we'll see. Taylor Brown, the super chat, would love your analysis on a stock. Do you think this is the bottom for BABA? I believe I've looked at BABA. I'm not going to pull it up right here. If it's down, I can't remember if BABA is down 70%, if it's down 78%. But stocks can be tricky. I don't follow Alibaba that much anymore. I don't even know if I assume people still use Alibaba like crazy. But, bouncing, right? When something falls 70 or 78%, that's usually an indicator of the first major leg of a bear market. And when bubbles pop like that, they usually, not guaranteed, but usually bounce like 100%, and then they resume their bear market again. So, Brandon Hammond, any thoughts on Bitcoin Cash? I still hold all of my Bitcoin Cash, waiting for what's going to happen with this market into a retracement. So I still hold it all. Ron Adapter, hi, do you think it's possible Bitcoin will retrace to 702? XRP can also go to 702 and stop there without a moonshot. Where exactly do you think XRP will explode? Thanks, all the best. Yeah, well, anything can happen, and that's what we're waiting on, is to find out, will the altcoin market detach from Bitcoin and from Ethereum into this moment in here? So this is what, we saw during the last pop of Bitcoin, is that the altcoins did significantly detach, and the altcoin market went on to new all-time highs, whereas Bitcoin did not. So anything is possible, that there could be no moonshot, but the answer, I place my bets that there will. So that's how my portfolio is positioned. So when we get there, we'll find out. Mike Wellplay with the super chat. Thank you, BCB, for all your information. Without people like you, I would have been so nervous to hold. Your insight has been amazing. Well, thank you, Mike. I'm glad to be a part of it, man. Just sharing my experiences. And if none of you guys are keeping emotional logs, we're going to have a little therapy session real fast. I hope you are. What we had the other day was an amazing amazing emotional log entry, if anybody did it. That was I mentioned that in the video that I did on Twitter, that was one of the top 5 wildest days. That was a day, I was having phone calls and talking to people and saying, hey, does this feel like capitulation? Does this feel like the moment? You got every element you could possibly have being thrown at you right here. Look at the market. The market is very scared right now. This has all the makings of capitulation. And this is while we were knee deep in it, right? Bitcoin was down here at 34.5 or something. And it screamed that it felt like it. But it's when you can recognize those moments of when you get really excited and recognize those moments when you get really scared and figure out how to play against yourself. I don't know. And I try to share that. So I know it was a moment where everybody was very scared at that moment, but it was just trying to find all the confluences, right? That's what we were looking for that day, was confluences in the dollar, gold, silver, commodities, equities, PayPal, right? All right. Thanks, Mike. Lost Hobbit with Super Chat. Thank you. Tevrik Buruk. I don't know how to pronounce it. Man, another one. Thank you so much. Thank you for all what you do for us. You use 2 cycle fractal for Bitcoin, the 70K target, but 1 XRP fractal for XRP, the $10 to $13 target. Can you explain why? Let's see. 2 cycle fractals for Bitcoin, 70K target, but 1 cycle fractal for XRP, the $10 to $13 target. It's less on fractals, but more so on fibs. So, long-term followers of the channel know that Fibonacci's are always my go-to thing, right? So Fibonacci's are going to get you out there to that $10 to $13 range, which is what we're seeing over there on Ethereum, and it's what we've seen over there on Bitcoin, is getting up into these areas right up in here. So, both Bitcoin, Ethereum got to like right here. There's your $10 zone. Bitcoin got like right up into here. That's your $12 zone. But both of them on their market caps got you up in there too. And I believe if you were going to do XRP based on its market cap, I believe it's going to get you to like 1190 or something like that. So that's my primary focus, is Fibonacci's. I always talk about if I could only use one thing and one thing alone, that's the thing I would depend on the most, and it would be the only thing I could use. But I'll use other things to help find confluences within the market. And that what we've seen is that for each leg of XRP, it tends to move at particular heights. And we can see that even in these heights, these have all been equivalent to what the height of the current, let's get this, of even what this move has been right in here, right? So even for the first leg of the market, similar style leg. But in the end, right, so the question is, I don't know if your question is this, but, right, would it? Oh boy, I lost that, didn't I? Would it do that? I think that's what people want to know, right? You're going to get up to $75. And that's always possible, right? But it's not what I'm going to count on. And because it's just, and let's say this too, when we get up into those areas, when we're approaching that $10 price point, is where I start laddering out. And it's not that I'm laddering out my whole bag. I will hold on to some and take the risk of going for higher prices, but I won't have the expectation that it has to happen, because for my personal style, I focus so much more on just the fibs. So I hope that answers your question, that the primary focal point for me is this, but we also do have confluences of what, the previous legs up look like. But, this is where, we would have to be if we're going to go higher than that and you want to count on these, it's just, you have to say this doesn't matter, right? And it's going to just go beyond it. And it's too scary for me to say that that's a likely thing to actually happen. I hope that answers. And thank you so much. Code 9 was a super chat. Thank you very much. Matt Smith is super chat. Oh man, Matt Smith, thank you, man. It's always Wednesday, my dude. Thank you. And it's hard to believe we're at this moment. Have learned so much from you and appreciate the way you think about things. No matter the results, excited for what comes next from you and your channel. Keep on hanging on. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it, man. The Road with the super chat. 2-year viewer and your brother in Christ. Thanks, BCB. Thanks, The Road. Howdikin AM with the super chat. Hi BCB. I tagged you on Twitter. Can you please view KeyRDO, EOS Zcash, XCC, and OMG? I think they have potential. Yeah, I can't go through all of those, man. Or I'll talk. I'm already 14 minutes behind. I'll get really far behind. I appreciate the super chat. But yeah, and we've talked about this a lot on the channel. It's a whole market condition right now, and it's all, everybody's welcome to do whatever they want. I just kind of give my take on the market, right? My take is, we need to see something happening with the altcoin market as we head back into that retracement. But we know that the whole market tends to rise together, and this is historically the most opportunistic time for it to do it. Ryan B with Super Chat. Hey BCB, love you, man. Other than XRP, what are your 3 favorite projects with utility and upside going into the next 5 years? Well, it's hard to say, right? So like my take on the market has been that when you've gone through these entire cycles, right? Being here from 2017, we're now in 2022. You kind of hope that you see some type of deviation happen in the market, that where you do see real utility actually start taking the wheel and driving. But it doesn't really seem to be doing that yet. It seems that we're still following exactly what always happens in this market, and that, Bitcoin leads the way. All the altcoins rise together. There's speculative assets of the market. New coins come out. They go crazy. Everybody pumps them on Twitter. People buy it after it's up 30,000% and think that they're still early. And those things will eventually crash 99%. So it's hard to say, like I'm a big privacy guy. I just think that, when you look towards where we're going, and, there's so many things, right? Are we going to have all these little metaverse cryptocurrencies going on? Is the metaverse even going to become a real thing? Is the NFT platform, where we're going to do all this stuff, move to a different, platform? Is that going to be XRP? Is that going to be someone else? But I'm a true, like at my heart, I don't like that the U.S. or that any country, not just the U.S., but all countries devalue their currencies. It drives me crazy that they just print it. So I've always been like at the heart, a gold bug and a silver bug. And then, that's what attracted me to Bitcoin as well. But over the years, I've learned that I don't really think that's what Bitcoin is. And that's just my personal take. I think Bitcoin is more of just, a speculative thing, and I get it. Like, I think it's really amazing to see that we can send these currencies across to help whatever cause you want to help or whatnot. But they're all it's trackable, right? We don't do that with our money. So I believe in a decentralized form of money, whether whoever's going to win in all the little platform battles and whoever's going to be the one hosting all the NFTs and all that stuff, or decentralized assets, all that, I don't know who's going to be the big winner in all of it. But when it comes to what matters to me is about, real money, hard money, privacy matters to me. And so the thing that I focus, like if we're just not going to talk about XRP, it's going to be Monero. And I see a lot of big names talk about Zcash. And so, I'm optimistic on Zcash too, So I don't know. And one of the things too is, I spend a lot of time in the charts, right? So I'm just living and breathing in here. This space has grown so drastically just in the last year and a half. I mean, it's just ballooned out into so many different use cases at this point. It feels like we're just scattered. We're just so scattered. So I don't really... I think the names that have already put their stamp on. I don't really like any of the stuff that is so speculative that came out within the last year and a half that is pumped crazy. I don't think people know what's really going to happen with that in the next bear market. Those things are going to lose 99% of their value. Fair warning, man. But okay, I got to move on. Too much time spent here. Privacy coins are the thing that but here's the deal too. It drives me crazy. How the heck have privacy coins not taken off? Like, dude, just think of this from a realistic standpoint for a second, real quick. If you're sending Bitcoin to the Ukraine, right, and you're helping fund one side of a war, I'm not here to discuss whether or not that's right or whether or not that's wrong. But the wallets that are interacting with that wallet, you can see. Then you can see where those wallets originally, if they aren't, KYC'd wallets and they're like cold storage wallets, you can see those wallets, interacted with a KYC'd exchange. So like if you bought Bitcoin on Coinbase and then you sent it to your cold storage wallet and then you sent it from your cold storage wallet to fund the Ukraine in the war, then I don't know what the repercussions of that are. I don't know if governments will come after and say, hey, you interfered in a war, or you did something, or if what it could all mean. But it's trackable back to you. I don't know if there's any repercussions or anything like that. I'm not arguing whether it's right or it's wrong that anybody does that. But it just concerns me that if you do it from a wallet that exchanged with a KYC wallet, it can be tracked back to you that you funded one side of some type of political thing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I can't believe that privacy coins haven't taken off. It boggles my mind. All right, moving on. DNB with the super chat. Thank you so much. UN known super chat. So proud of how big this channel has become. Congrats, my guy. Thank you very much. And I'm very grateful for this. I'm grateful that there's 5,200 people in here right now. That's insane. I think of me being Taylor Swift standing on a stage right now and it's dark and everybody's got their phones with their flashlights on and we're all just like, yeah, we're going up. No, I'm just kidding. It's what I used to always think about is like, man, what would it be like if I was somewhere and there's all these people staring at me right now? How much anxiety I would have at this point. But you get a little settled into it over time. It's still not, I think you can disconnect yourself from it a little bit because it's just a number on the screen, but it's really weird when you think about it, for sure. But thank you. Yeah. A lot of hard work, 600 plus videos. Whew. Brody, thank you so much for the super chat. Bushify super chat. Has anything ever smashed 4.236 and kept going? Yes, many times. Many times. L-Train 88 was a super chat. Thank you. Muhammad AA with a super chat. Thank you. And Diving Biking Viking. Just a thank you. I've learned a lot watching you and taking your course. Roll on March. Yes, please March. Give it to us. And what's funny is because I always record the market updates on the last day of the month, and I always knew this. I always saw this fractal, and I remember recording back in January the market update in here, and thinking to myself, I can look forward here to this thing and see that when I record that February 28th, if this thing hasn't taken off yet and started going, we're going to be sitting here saying, yeah, is it? And I knew that all month long, looking at this fractal saying, if it's going to follow that timing, I'm going to be recording it like right here. And sure enough, I did. I put it up on the course and then whoop, up we go. So the video on the course was recorded prior to the pop actually happening. Pretty crazy. I'm glad to be past that moment though. I had to sit there and dread that all month long. The Jake Fu Show, Super Chat. Hey, BCB, are you going to wig out big time if the alts don't start pumping in March and Bitcoin keeps following the fractal? When Moon, brother, Godspeed. Wig out big time if the alts don't start pumping in March. I don't know about wig out. I don't think I ever wig out over anything. I try to remain as emotionally stable as possible. If they get up here and nothing's taken off, I got to start making decisions on where to cut, where to start taking some risk off the table. It's just kind of that simple. This is what happened in, previous runs is that we go back to the retracements. Altcoin market continues marching. We'll see if it happens. Jillian Baker, thank you so much. Ismail Patel with the super chat. Hey BCB, how did you do in the 2017-2018 bull run? Did you catch the top of XRP around 340 USD? I did actually sell XRP at like $3.10, $3.20. We didn't have the community that we have back then. It was much, at all for XRP. I don't even know if there was an XRP community back in 2017 and 2018. But I believed in it at that time, and I bought back in at like $1. That didn't work out. It fell 70% or whatnot, and I was like, all right, cool, let's get it back. No, that bear market kept on going. Learned a lot of lessons, right? So that was like my first major bear market to go through in 2018. Learned a lot. Learned a lot through the process of seeing the tops. Learned a lot through seeing how long bear markets can really go. And I don't think most people here really know how long these bear markets can go. There's a lot of people here who do know. Oh man, and a lot of the popular content creators know how bad it can go. But we have a lot of new content creators that came out in 2021 that don't, and it's an up only market. But it's not an up only market. There will be the next major bear market for sure. But yeah, no, I got out of a lot of stuff at the top in 2018. I got out of major holdings would have been XRP and Ethereum. Got out of both of them at the actual tops, because Ethereum as well did a 4.236 extension, and I've shown that here quite a few times. So you know me, right? I love the 4.236 extension. It was just like the dream come true for me on Ethereum on how to be able to get out and sell the top. So pretty easy. But mistakes were made thinking that we're going to be done in here and that things would continue on, and we would consolidate and everything like that. But as you can see, this was my first real major bear market to go through, and that even Ethereum 94%. A lot of people think Bitcoin cannot do anything like that. Like, look at how big Ethereum is. Look what all the stuff that's built on Ethereum right now. Even in this time period, 94%. These things can lose a lot. So I did relatively well. The big mistakes I made in 2017 were trying to be a day trader. Huge mistake. I watched all the people who were just hodlers crush it. And anybody day trading, it's so volatile. It's so emotional. So incredibly emotional. And I don't believe 99% of the people who are sitting here saying they're successful day traders in here. I don't believe it, especially not people who are doing margin. If anybody's selling you the idea that they're doing well on margin, baloney. They may get one big win, but then they get everything liquidated from themselves later. I don't ever touch margin. But 2018 bull run did well. Got back into the market a little bit too early. And that bear market went on for a very, very long time. Let's do this. And I accumulated that bear market the whole time. All right. Is the fractal the longest follow you've seen? From LKNZ. Is this fractal the longest follow you've seen before? I've never seen anything be this precise in this manner. This is ludicrous. I've never seen anything be this precise in this manner. So I would say, from what I can recall, yes, longest I've seen before. Gino super chatted. Hey, it's March here already. All right, sweet. JT with super chat. What's the chance that the retrace structure is a combination of your two possibilities, where this fractal plays out and is the A leg of a more drawn out ABC? Yeah, right. That's going to be a big challenge, isn't it? So like, you can kind of see how this plays out, right? So what if you have this? And I don't know the answer to it, but I've been looking at it too, right? So, we didn't dip as low here, right? But let's say that's your capitulative wave, right? And this was your capitulative wave. And you head back in here, right? So you could see you retraced to almost 618. But we know that this one retraced to 618, came down, and then broke down and kept going, right? It just kept going down after this back in 2018. Let me zoom out. Let's get rid of that. So his question is, I believe, JT. Your question is, what if we do play this thing out right here? It heads back to the 618. It falls all the way back down. But that's also what typically happens in ABC structures as well, is that we get back up to the 618 and then you fall back down. This is also what happened at the top back in 2018 for Bitcoin, is that you can see, I'm going to put us on a smaller time frame, put us on the 8-hour. You can see that Bitcoin retraced back to the 618, fell lower, and then went to the 702 afterwards. I think I'm getting this right, JT. I think I'm answering your question, right? So, what if it does this? Heads back down. But that's just your ABC, and then it's got to keep going. And then it's got to do the more longer drawn out one. You know, I don't know. We'll have to kind of assess it as it goes, and it's going to be hard to determine which ones they're going to be. You know, everybody's going to have to kind of take their own approach to how much risk they're going to take off the table or what they're going to end up doing. How much conviction do they have that another leg will eventually come in that circumstance? I don't know, but it's something that I'm monitoring. And if we get there, we'll discuss it. But I see what you're saying. I don't know the answer. I think I approached your question correctly of what you were asking. I hope so. All right. Thank you very much. Mark M. Hey, BCB, do you use any charts to follow the housing market and housing market bubble? And if so, which charts? I don't really follow it all too much, the housing market. I used to pay attention a lot to the pending home sales index over there on investing.com. I've seen charts of where home prices are, median home prices right now. And that, we're in breakout above what we were above in 2007 and 2008. And there's, likelihood, I would think, of a pullback. I'm not a housing market expert, but, I don't see signs of it slowing down. I mean, you can even look around you. There's just no indications of it slowing down whatsoever. And, that's probably going to be a regional thing. It's, housing is more than just, broad blanket. Every area gets affected differently, and every area might be going through different growth phases, or cities might be going through different growth phases. Like California, I don't have any idea, but I know they're all going to Florida, they're going to Texas and Arizona, and they're just going everywhere. So if they're all flocking to, say, like Austin, Texas, rather than Dallas, Texas, San Antonio, or Houston, or something like that, Austin's going to have its own, specific situation going on with it. The thing that, noticed, and I haven't looked at 30-year mortgage interest rates in the course of the last 3 or 4 days. I don't know if they've cooled off in the last 3 to 4 days, but they're in a pretty significant rise. I would probably be thinking, let's see what happens with pending home sales as interest rates have risen by 1% over the course of the last 30 days. Because if you think about all of new home construction, right? You go in, you put your earnest money down on a new home to have a new home built. Then you don't get to lock in your rate when you put down your earnest money. But by the time you get to closing, which will be 3 months later, if interest rates have risen by 1.5%, and you're buying a $350,000, $400,000 house, $250,000, $200,000, whatever, but suddenly when you put your earnest money down, you thought you were going to have a specific payment based on the interest rates that were going on at that time. But now there's suddenly been this move up of 1% or 1.5%. And now your monthly payment is going to be $500, $600 more per month. That would probably change the likelihood of whether or not you're going to close. You may just say, forget the earnest money and let it go. And you'd have to see what the inventory left over, how much inventory is going to get left on the market. You know what I mean? I think it's more than measuring metrics. I'm not a professional in any way at measuring the housing market, but those are the types of thoughts that go through my head. I don't know. Hope that answered. Thank you, Mark. Enemy World, the super chat. Thank you very much. Meme. When does alt season happen? So when moon is the question. Is it before retracement, during, or after? Also, what does your time machine look like? Is it DeLorean DMC 12? When it happens, don't know. But what we do know is where it topped out at in 2018, and it topped into the retracement. So whether it's some 5-day alt season, 10-day alt season, or no alt season, the top came in here, and that's the answer. And I get asked when moon 100 times a day in many fancy ways. I don't have the answer for you, but I would sure, please soon, right? If this is going to keep going, time's running out, so please soon. James with the super chat. Thank you very much. Muhammad AA super chat. Thanks for your hard work. Shout out to Musa Nuarim and Alina. There you go. Tyler Genter. When does the very top of the fractal hit? If it does play out to the current time, March 10th, right? So in this circumstance, you look at March 13th, where does it break down? March 23rd, 24th, if that continues, right? And so would it peak here? Would it peak here? Would like one by one, they're just kind of firing off and hitting in here? Don't know. Have to watch and see. Gino S with the super chat. Thank you. JCR Central. Hey, what's going on, man? Thank you for the super chat. Will you give us your thoughts on why TA patterns show up as they do and in such a timely way? I get the concept of composite man, but is there more to it? Perhaps a deeper dive for the BCB course? Yeah, I saw your post over there on Twitter that it just kind of blew your mind. Welcome, man. Welcome. Yeah, things happen in crazy ways, don't they? Makes you just question your own reality when things happen and then events play out at the exact same time. I don't have all the answers. I've had, detailed conversations with smart people as well. Is it just the balance of the universe happening all at once? Is there a, puppet master pulling the puppet strings? Is it a simulation? Is it God? Is it baked into the universe to mathematically play out in this way? I don't know. But things happen things happen perfectly on time all the time. Oh, hey, by the way, I see 5,383 people in here with 1,500 likes. If you guys could please hit that like button, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, JCR, I don't know the answer, man. It's crazy. Andrew with the super chat. My buddy Sean loves how you pronounce the word confluence. There you go, confluence. David Franco Julia with the super chat. Thank you, Andrew. David Franco Julia with the super chat. Thank you very much. Eternal Life super chatted. We'd be happy to get TA on gold, Tesla, PayPal. We from India would like to buy U.S. stocks. Tesla, I think it's a bubble. I think it's going to pop. I'm in Ford, man. I can't believe Ford hasn't caught up. But I think Tesla's in a full-blown bubble, and Elon's dumping all of his stocks. Gold, the big question, will it get through the retracement? If it does get through the retracement, is it just going to barely set a new all-time high like Bitcoin did, or is it going for a big mega pump to like $6,000 to $8,000? Not sure. I own a lot of gold, but don't know. And then PayPal, I posted that on Twitter a couple times. Ain't gone through it on the videos. I think I have arrows drawn on there. I'd check those. For things like PayPal, if it would just, long-term bear market for PayPal, but probably a retracement bounce or a relief rally pretty soon. Tyler Drinter with the super chat. When do you expect alts to begin? When mood? Bitcoin, if we continue this fractal. I don't know when I don't know when it would happen. I don't know when it would start. But this is where it finished last time. So that's what I'm watching for, is when do the conditions get met for finishing? Brian McCarthy, do you think the laggards will stay quiet until the top of the Bitcoin retrace, or may they be working up with it and continue? Thanks very much. So what I've noticed consistently is we keep getting a lot of when questions. So let me maybe I can slow these super chats down a little bit if you're donating for when questions. I don't have the answer for when. I can't predict time on when things will happen. All I know is that where retracement levels are. And when we get to the retracement levels, that's where just conditions get met. What the market has done leading up to that, we'll find out. We've seen historically that they pump into it. So when that moment starts, if that moment isn't starting today, right? I mean, you see 12% over here, you see 10% over here, 8, 9%. Whether or not that's not today, I mean, it could be today. Everybody seems kind of be discrediting that there's 12s and 10s on the side of the screens and 9s and 8s, that it hasn't started. We don't know that. But we'll see, right? The next coming days will tell, right? If Bitcoin pauses here for a couple of days, but these guys keep on surging, it may have already started. Hill forward the super chat. Thank you very much. BCB, I haven't heard you mention scenario 3 again since your December 6th Bitcoin bear market video. Could this scenario still play out, or has it become invalidated at this point? So with that was just pointing to what we've seen one time on Bitcoin, right? So I know what you're talking about. As if we're having this moment in here, right? Right. So yeah, I mean, it's always still possible. It's just the likelihood of it. I can't draw on it outside of pointing and saying, hey, this is what happened this one time, but it's highly unusual in relation to all the other structures that I see and things that regularly happen. So does Bitcoin just suddenly break down and shoot down to 20K, then shoot up to 90K, and then shoot down to 13K, right? We'll have to see. So like, let's say that, where would this start coming back into discussion again would be if this thing really just kind of starts to kind of creep over here. Just starts doing something like that on a long term, right? So we know that in these structures, typically, if we're going to get that move down, all the structures we've looked at, these happen quickly. If it doesn't happen quickly, but it just creeps over, just real slow. And here we are talking about time being a thing that matters. But in that only circumstance where we've seen that, where time mattered, it would be like this long creep down over here, that this rally fails, goes sideways, and just slowly deteriorates over here. That's where it would be brought up again. But it's just that's the only reference you have for it. And it's not common in most circumstances. You see a big knockback off a 4.236 extension and a retracement. It's the most common thing. That would be a very uncommon thing. But thank you, Hill. Reflected Digital. Hey, BCB, do you see alts minting during the retracement to the 702 or after the 702 for Bitcoin? So again, guys, if we're asking timing questions, I can't answer your timing questions. All I could say is, yeah, it would seem likely. If we're going to get here, you wouldn't think it would happen in one day. You would think it would happen in the days to weeks leading up to the moments of getting in here. But I don't have the answer for you on timing. When was the moment alts detached from Bitcoin fractal? So they detached. So the timing was much different in the 2018 bull run, right? It took like 3 days to fire up for Bitcoin to hit 20K. It took 5 days for Bitcoin to fall from 20K to 11K. And it took 11 days, I think 11 to 15 days for Bitcoin to go into its retracement. But this alone is from a completely different timing perspective. In regards to it took 75 days for Bitcoin to get all the way down to its bottom compared to 5 days in 2018. But the altcoins still move at their same trajectory of quickly. So when they're going to start, I don't know. But you would think if we're going to have it happening here, who's to say they haven't already? We don't know. So save your money, guys. If you're donating for when questions, these are all variations of when does the moon mission begin. Andy Philpott, super chat. I hope we get a full booster full of fuel. Thank you for everything, backer. Thank you, Andy. Brian Schaefer. Hey, BCB. I think you have some Verge. Any thoughts on it? Thanks as always. I have not bought any Verge since 2018. I still hold some. Not a big believer in it. I'm just hoping to be able to get rid of it at some point, but I'm not a believer that it's going to be. I don't even know where you can buy it these days. I don't even know, but I do have some. No Perez, but I haven't bought it in 4 years, so don't be thinking I'm accumulating it, anybody. No Perez of the super chat. Are you cashing out into dollars or stable coins? Dollars. Thank you, no. Jillian Baker. Hey, BCB, I celebrate 13 years clean and serene on Wednesday. Thank you for being my crypto support group. I appreciate your application of spiritual principles and self-awareness to this market. Well, Jillian, congratulations on 13 years. I'm glad to be a part of the ride. Thank you. All nurses go to heaven. BC Backer, the man. How were you able to take EOS off exchanges into Ledger Nano? Shows they have an app for it, but doesn't show up. Right. So I don't keep EOS on a Nano Ledger. So that's why. Daughtry. The super chat, so you have to find a different wallet or application to store it in. Daughtry super chatted, hey BCB, do you think the structure for EOS Dash and Bitcoin Cash are quite bearish? Zcash and XRP are the only ones that look ready to fire. Yeah, so they're not pretty. There's no question they're not pretty, but that's how things have kind of historically looked. And we've gone through this in past live streams, how these drawdowns have happened in these altcoins during bull markets. And it's difficult to say the structure of those. Are they parabolic, 2018, crash, retrace, reaccumulations, right? And this is your run up that happened back in in April, right? It's April of last year, right? April and May, and that you're in reaccumulation, right? So either they're bearish looking or insanely bullish looking, depending on which one you want to say that they're doing. Is it a big crash, retrace, reaccumulation on a multi-year time frame? And that's my belief. So I still hold them all. But this would dictate whether or not I think I have to cut anything. But I hold every single one of them. All right. JA with super chat. Joseph Black. Let me see how long this live stream is. So we're at 57 minutes. So I'm going to try to go through these quickly because I've made these live streams go incredibly long lately. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep it short and sweet and so where I'm not like tired at the end. So I'm going to go through these. Joseph Black, not asking you to pull up the chart, but do you hold any ICP? I do not. Looks like it finally popped above its brutal year-long descending triangle this morning. I don't really trust triangles. So grateful all that you have taught me. All right, Joseph. Thank you, brother. I appreciate the super chat. I don't own any of that, and I do fear trend lines, right? So trend lines are not a thing for me. But whatever you want. Celeste 921 super chat. Where do you see silver price going? Thank you. Right. Well, I hold silver as well. I've got a lot of silver, and I'm nervous that silver could go down to $17, $18. But I hold it with a very long time preference, 20-year time preference on silver. To several hundreds of dollars is what I'm looking for. But whenever I buy silver, I buy it saying this thing could get locked into a safety deposit box for years, decades maybe. I pray it's not, but it could. Daniel Atkins with the super chat. Used to think we're heading towards a depression. Looks dicey out there. Well, all I can do is point to what charts have done. For the Dow Jones Industrial Average, what does it show happened? It showed exactly all of this happening, and then one more big breakout to the upside, and then came a depression afterwards. So that's what we saw. Will it? We'll find out. Not Dashy. Thoughts on Mike? I don't know who that is. If not, check out. I don't know who that is. Flores, but thank you, not Dashy. Flores Dam, super chatted. BC Backer, would you like to see confirmation that we're going further up here or that we're actually... BC Backer, what would you like to see to have confirmation that we're going further up from here and we are actually in the Bitcoin retracement? So I don't play the whole need confirmations thing. Typically, anybody needing confirmations has waited too long. So anybody who's like sold out down here and saying, no, we need to see more confirmations happen to say that it's going to keep going up. Well, then they're waiting for, is that their confirmation? But then they got to get out right in there. But they missed that much, 49%. To get to say, I have the confirmations I need to know it's going to go up 11% more. That stuff drives me crazy. And it's not your fault for asking that question. It's a very great question, but there's all that type of tricky wording out there that people use to say that, here's this, this, and this, and this, but we need confirmations for this, this, and this. And then now that we have our confirmations, we can try to catch the last 5% of this 189% move. We'll go for the last 5% because we have the confirmations now. It's just drives me crazy. So I don't do that to you guys, right? I try not to. My best, I try not to. Just try to give, what I think. So, could present. All right. I got to keep going. Tyler Genter with the super chat. Thank you, BCB. Jesus is Lord. Thank you, Tyler. No name. Super chat. Thank you. If you're interested in privacy coins, look at this coin. They just launched their smart contract platform. I'm not interested in anything new at this stage in the market. Anything new coming out right now? No. I'm not touching it. But thank you, no name. Al Toddy, super chat. My wife says hi to you, and she likes to hear hey. What's going on, Jasmine? There you go. Thank you. Hadoken AM super chat. Hey, thanks for everything. No problem if you can't go over the coins I requested. Okay. It's a coin I've never heard of that he's asking to review. So I don't want to do that because I have 5,287 people watching and I don't know if it's a scam or not. So I'm not going to say the name of it. But okay. Thank you. Jason Smith with the super chat. What books or materials did you study to learn Elliott waves and fib extensions and retracements? This is from the School of Hard Knocks. No books. All just being in the market a lot, dedicating a ridiculous amount of time to it, and figure out what's important and what's not important from absurd amounts of trial and error. So I know a book can tell you, here's the statistical probability of this thing playing out or not. But you can only rely on that to an extent of your own intuition. If you don't have the experience, how can you rely on any type of intuition based on your own personal experiences? So for Elliott waves, I just Googled. There's so many websites out there that with Elliott waves, but you kind of have to figure out how deep down the Elliott wave rabbit hole are you going to go, because it can get really deep, really deep. But just Google, go look on TradingView at ideas. Understand that 99% of the ideas on TradingView are wrong. 99%. But you can see how people are using tools, and then you can play with those tools, and then trial and error them and back test them. That's the best thing you can always do. Go back to the past and play with those tools on past price performance. Everybody kind of gets new at it and says, all right, let me just start predicting, but why don't go to the past and apply the tools to the past and see how things worked previously, and was there any correlation to those tools in predicting anything at all? And that's the only way you can figure out whether or not they are valid to use moving forward. I hope that answered Jason. Just lots of Googling, and then they go to other things I said. It's your boy, L, has super chatted. Thanks for all the hard work. Thank you so much. Definition Cornet. Hey, dude, really appreciate the therapy. You really help with the anxiety of it all. Mad love. Any thoughts on Theta? I don't really follow Theta. It might be good. I don't know. There's so many coins. It's not that Theta is small or anything like that, but it's hard for me to follow all of these things. Sorry, I don't really follow Theta too closely. Andy Philpott, the super chat. Thank you. Boogers. Boogers with the super chat. ADA is pushing the 702 measured from the previous top. Do you think it might break out soon? ADA is interesting. I might bring ADA up in another. I'm not going to cover it in this video because I got too many questions on altcoins, but I do hold some ADA. You might notice that ADA looks very similar to what the Dow Jones Industrial Average looked like during the Great Financial Crisis and the time periods before that. Like, go compare that. Go compare that time period of like 1998 to 2008 compared to 88. It's pretty interesting. Dylan Russell, super chat. Hey, BCB, will F take off with alts or follow Bitcoin? So I think okay, first of all, I'm not in the camp of believing that Ethereum is going to set a new all-time high, but I think Ethereum has a better chance of setting a new all-time high than Bitcoin does. And it'll be interesting if Ethereum goes along with the rest of the altcoin market. I don't think it will, because it's hit this full extension. It's led the market. It's way ahead of the market. It's got to bleed out into the rest of the market. But I think it's far more likely Ethereum just does a retracement rally with Bitcoin. But that's the thing I think is more likely, is just a retracement for me personally. T. Tucker, love your content, mate. And hey, thank you. Meme, think EOS will still go up. Thank you. I sure hope so. I hold on to it. It's just the conditions that I have. This is where all of it needs to be met. Go look at the 2018 bull run for EOS and see what it looked like. It gives you the idea of how these assets move. So go study 2018 on EOS and see what it did and how much time it took. Quickly, very quickly. Nick with the super chat. Man, Nick, thank you. I heard XDC mentioned here before. I would love to hear your analysis on the XDC chart. Can you give it a quick look? If you heard it here, it was me probably talking about why is anybody buying XDC? You shouldn't. I would never touch it with a 10-foot pole. I think it has risen 30,000%. I couldn't imagine owning it after it's risen 30,000%. I'd be selling the heck out of it. That's the, and I know that's not what everybody wants to hear. People may be holding it. Oh, I see Alpha Beta Soup in the chat. What's up? It has risen 30,000%, right? A new coin rose 30,000%. I don't know what people want more beyond that. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of my thoughts on it. It's up to everybody to do whatever the heck they want to do. But man, throwing money signs saying, yeah, sell it. Woo-hoo. If anything rose 30,000% that I owned. So thank you, Nick. I appreciate it, man. And that's just, it's very generous super chat, man. But that's my honest take on it. It rose 30,000%. Brandon Tornetta, the super chat. Hey, BCB, I reached out to you last live stream about NFTs and using them to expand your brand. I DM'd you more info Twitter with some ideas. You want to check them out. Thanks for all you do. Thank you, Brandon. Obviously, it's been an insane week over the last week. I haven't gotten to any DMs, and I get so many, and I am very grateful. It's not me being ungrateful that I can't get back to DMs. It's approving all the comments that are on the videos, all the tweets, all that everything, and the super followers and the YouTube and all in the live interviews last week. I did 7 videos last week. It's just been busy. It's been super, super busy. I'll try to peek around for it. Thank you, Brandon. Renee Taylor with the super chat. Thank you. Pedram Razi, super chat. Are we still on track for 10 to 13 XRP? Been recommending your channel to everyone who asks about crypto. The thing is, we all wait to see what happens when Bitcoin goes into the retrace. And I did cover XRP at the beginning of the video, so you might want to watch it on the rewatch. But I'm still hopeful. Everybody kind of wants to know the answers. We don't have any answers on what's going to happen until it goes into a retrace. So that's it. Let's see. Greetings from, here we go. Patrick Z. Greetings from the Crypto Heroes gang from Germany. Caro Asian. Great job, BCB. Thanks from us. Thank you, Patrick, and the Crypto Heroes gang from Germany. Thank you, guys. It's inevitable to super chat. What % gains can we expect daily during alt season? I don't know. Saying what to expect is hard. But what we've seen, if were you here in April and May of 2021, a lot of times when these things are getting toppish, in those final days, things are like 30, 40%. I mean, I think we saw Mana do 200% in a day. It's not to say that everything's going to do that. But once we start seeing those types of numbers printed over here on the right side of the screen daily, where there is stuff over here on the side, 30, 40, 50%, that's when things are starting to get a little sketchy when we're doing that daily. Don Tree. Hey, BCB. EOS Dash, Bitcoin Cash look quite bearish to me. XRP, is this the same question we got earlier? Seekers looks like they're ready to fight. Did I fall behind? No, I think I answered that. Maybe it just took too much time. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. I think I already went through all this. And again, if we're talking about, and so we'll kind of address, I know I answered this question earlier, but we'll kind of talk about it again. We've gone through this with the altcoins, right? From February of 2021 till February of 2022, anything from the top 50, we've shown it that nearly all, like 90% of the altcoins are all in the same boat. And you can draw out, whatever kind of TA you want to do on each individual altcoin, but it's a broader market condition of all of the altcoins, the vast majority of them. But and you can say that about a lot of the altcoins in 2017 and 18 before the end of the cycle run happened. But none of the answers get told until we see all the boats rise together. When all the boats rise together, I would think if we see this thing happen and like 50% of the boats are rising and 50% of the boats are not rising, that's probably a bad sign for the 50% that are not rising. But that's all just theoretical, right? That's not a condition that typically happens. It's all boats rise. And even in 2021, when we had the run up in March, April, and May, all boats rose. So we'll just have to see how far they can get when things start getting sketchy. And we'll monitor that. I'll monitor it for myself by looking at the retracement for Bitcoin, looking at what's happening with Total 3, the total altcoin market cap, and the other market caps, and looking at Ethereum and saying, at what point does it seem like the whole market's getting to a kind of breaking point? And at that moment right there, where it's like, okay, things are looking good for this, things are not looking good for that. But we're just not there. Angel for Truth. Thank you for all you do in sticking to the truth and no hype. God bless. Thank you very much. When things get excited, I don't mind being excited. And I had somebody text me the other day. He goes, man, I noticed you put a lot of green arrows on your thumbnails lately. And I say, yeah, I do that when I think it's going to go up. And I've had them on there for a couple of weeks, right? A green arrow is always on the thumbnail. But eventually when we get up here and stuff, we go back over those green arrows start disappearing. But when we're in the depths of despair, the green arrow, it's because I truly believe it, but I still try not to hype it. But when things get exciting like today, hey, it's exciting. It's cool. Thank you. Jai Tick with the super chat. Thank you very much. RC Cole with the super chat. Do you play CSGO or COD? If not, why not the other? If not one, why not the other? I play CSGO. It's super helpful during this bear. I just don't have time. That's it. I really don't. And when I play video games, I only like to play them for like 20 minutes at a time. So I play COD sometimes. There was a time period where COD was like my ritual of every night before I would go to bed. But I would say in the last like month and a half, I've only played COD maybe like 3 times, maybe for 10 or 15 minutes. I got YouTube, I got a family and all that stuff. And it's just been busy. And I'm not against CSGO, but the truth of that too is that all these games, you can't just be some noob and come walk in and have a good time. Because I'm going to be playing against guys like you, man. Y'all been playing a whole lot, and I'm going to get wrecked. I'm going to say, dude, this game's awful. I just walked around a corner, and there was a dude hanging out behind a barrel, scoping me through a little crack in a door, and he knew I was going to walk here. And, this is my first time playing. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's tough out there on video games. But, What I really want to do is I want to get enough time where I can like dedicate a month of my life to World of Warcraft again. Those were the good old days, man. Those are good days. I'll miss that. It'll be one of the first things I do when I retire. I'll try not to spend any money so I can just kind of like psychologically go through the process of being like, hey, you got all this money now. But like, yeah, but don't go spend it all. Don't go blow it all. Play some WoW for a while. All right. Too long of a tangent there. Thanks, RC. Nicholas Salcido. BCB, in your opinion, what's your greater risk? Keeping crypto on exchanges or having crypto on a hardware wallet and not being able to get it back on crashing exchanges when price is mooning? Right. So you have to kind of... Hold on one second. Sorry, my wife walked in the house and she had the live stream going on her phone and I could hear it in the background, so I had to close my office doors. And now my wife will hear me saying this and I'll say, thank you for walking in the house with all that loud noise. Right. So for me personally, I think of it as I keep it on cold storage and have multiple exchanges to be able to go to. Right? That's what I think of it. You know, if you're going to depend just on one, like Coinbase, we all know what happens with Coinbase. If you don't have an off-ramp except for Coinbase, I mean, you better get some off-ramps. For everybody. I'm talking to everybody there, not just you, Nicholas, everyone. JC Bland, the super chat. How does Cardano tip impact the Wyckoff pattern it was following? All right, that's the second one on Cardano, and I like Cardano, so we'll talk about it, right? So first of all, this looks like a lot like the Dow Jones. Anybody ever notice that? Same thing, right? So let's talk about it here, right? So what do you have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't have the right thing there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So it was interpreted as that was 5. That was 6. That was 7. Hey, everything's good and go. Figured it would ABC over here and then be good to go, right? But it is not. It has dipped deeper. So was the count wrong? Right? Was that misinterpreted? I don't know. It has been a doozy. You know, I look down to the level it's gone all the way down to. This is... It's a head scratcher for me, man. It's a head scratcher on Cardano, for sure. Whether or not you say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that this was not 7, right? Whether 7 shifts and that this is all in here, and then now you're going in for 7. Right? One more dip and a dip. I don't know. Cardano's tough for me, right? Because Cardano, and it's hard for a lot of people because most people can kind of got into Cardano late. Cardano rose 17,000%. And it wasn't until here that Coinbase listed it. So people weren't allowed to, the masses were not allowed to buy Cardano until it had already risen 7,300%. And then during this time period, where was it? Was it May? I really don't know when staking began, right? So you had a new supply dynamic that came into Cardano. And I don't know if the supply dynamic is impacting it with all the people that are staking it and the new supply getting sold. So Cardano is a doozy for me. I think the thing is, if Cardano doesn't hold here, if Cardano does not hold that, I don't really have any reason to think Cardano isn't going to come all the way down here. All the way back down to 20 cents. I don't see any reason. Otherwise, I can't, sometimes when you want to have confirmation bias or kind of come up with anything, people will change their trend lines, do everything with it. with Cardano, I can't really come up with anything. And so, I own Cardano. I've sold 65% of my Cardano because it met my 65% exit target. But I still own 35%. So, of course, I want it to go up. But if that level doesn't hold for Cardano, and if this isn't just some oddly crazy seventh wave, right? So this isn't 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what do you say? You say, no, that's 5. Right? Still didn't break above 4. There's your final dip. Hard to say. Cardano has just been a nightmare for those who are really counted on Cardano. Man. Don't know. Ugly and unique. But, if you look at it, that's why I said, if you study the Dow Jones, you'll see the similarities to this. It's your broadening wedge. Right? I mean, you have to be really lenient to say that's a broadening wedge, right? Don't know. I just, for Cardano, I'd be sitting here saying, I'm going to watch what this thing does, and fingers crossed we'll see whatever Cardano does during that time period. That's kind of my thought process on Cardano at this point. Eternal Life with the super chat. Thank you very much. Since 2020 November, I'm following, and you're the best. Thank you very much, Eternal Life. Abby, I'm going to get this. Yagami. Double L, right? Yeah. Yagami. Super chatted. Hey, BCB, what are your thoughts about Stellar Lumens? Thank you for everything you do. Right, so I will do Stellar Lumens because the XRP army also invests in it, and the XRP army is part of my life. But this is what the whole market is, right? So there's no real reason to do too much TA on it because you can look at 90% of the altcoins and they all have this, right? So we asked the questions about Bitcoin Cash, EOS, all of them. This is exactly what they all look like, right? They're all in the same thing. And, the thing that's interesting about it is if you can, and like we just talked about, right, what do you have? You have your big rise up, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. And that's what that one person asked me that I answered twice. And that, typically in these things, you probably noticed that I had this on here, is that it's very common for this to occur right in here. And then you go in for your final accumulation down in here, and then it can break out and go. And so I'll pull up the Verge chart, and we'll talk about that again. But just kind of keep that in your mind, right, for these altcoins, right? You have parabolic bubble, crash, retrace, reaccumulation with a big bear flag right there in the middle of it, right? So let's go to... Oh, here, I'll put it. I already had that on there. But that's kind of what you get, right? And so that you go into your final accumulation phase down in here after retracing with a bear flag along the way and your final accumulation. And so, I'm not going to go into every altcoin that gets asked in here, but that we see that occurring, right? I get a lot of this slop off the screen. And that's what you're having. So I'm optimistic on Stellar Lumens. I rarely talk about Stellar Lumens. I know people ask about it all the time, but I'm not fooled by it. I'm not fooled by, the bear stuff. Or the fear in it. And I think it's very possible that what we're seeing is the crash, retrace, reaccumulation, and that the opportunity, this will tell the story. And I think the same thing goes for Stellar Lumens, right? And so somebody asked you, what are your favorite 3 projects? It doesn't really matter what my favorite 3 projects are because this market is still acting exactly like it's always acted. You can ask, people who think Cardano is the absolute best thing to ever happen. In that you can see what's happening with Cardano. It's falling, right? Even though it's supposed to be the best thing that's ever happened, right? Or people who love stellar lumens, right? Doing that, right? The projects in themselves almost don't matter, and it's the broader market that really is what matters. So I don't know. That's what my thoughts are on XLM stellar lumens. Following the market. That chart is the story of 90% of the altcoins since the beginning of 2021. Mark Vacker, have you entertained an ending diagonal for Bitcoin? There's a million theories we can come up for Bitcoin. Everybody can take their own shot. I pick the ones that I think are going to be the most likely, and that's the ones that I cover. Definition Cornet. How about Theta? No, I can't cover Theta. I don't know. I don't follow the chart, so it would just be silliness for me to even do anything on it. Derek Plaza with the super chat. Why go back into fiat dollars? Because I'm not a believer that the U.S. dollar is going to collapse to zero. Here's the real. I was thinking about this the other day when I was in my kitchen. I make a shake every morning before I start my day with Greek yogurt, oatmeal, berries, bananas, almond milk every day. And while I was doing it, I was thinking, people own crypto. They all, buy in. There's all these people who want to buy it because they think the dollar is going to collapse. But then at the same time, they want to sell it at the cycle tops and everything like that. You have to be in specific camps. My way of this, I'm going to give you my way of thinking. One, I think that the U.S. dollar is going to continue to be devalued. That's just my personal belief. I think it's going to continue to be devalued, and I think it's going to go lower. My thought has always been that the DXY U.S. dollar currency index somehow makes its way back down to 80, 79 to 80. But my belief is not that the U.S. dollar is going to collapse to zero. That's never been my belief. So I can think that there's probably more devaluation for the dollar to happen, but I'm not in the camp of believing that the dollar is going to collapse to zero and not be used in the world anymore. There are people who genuinely believe the dollar is going to collapse to zero and be completely worthless. Then why does that person even care about selling their crypto at any point? You should just be buying your crypto and holding it forever if that's how you genuinely believe. But my thought is that, the dollar will eventually fall, but not that it's going to collapse. And we may have very different fundamental beliefs. And so your question is, why sell back into fiat dollars? Then, you shouldn't even care about my channel. You should just be holding, right? If you're never going back to fiat dollars and your belief is just crypto and crypto only, none of this matters. You're just kind of watching crypto assets appreciate during a dying dollar, which, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? If you think the dollar is going to zero, then you should never even care about what's happening with the prices at any point. At any point. But that's not my belief. My belief is not that the dollar is going to go to zero. I think the dollar will recover. I think that all congressional representatives will sell all of their stocks for ethical reasons, and that the shift of Congress will be focusing on strengthening the dollar. Don't believe me? I fully believe that's the narrative that's coming. We've watched them pump stocks and equities and devalue dollars for all this time. Federal Reserve officials are already out of the stock market. Next up is Congress. What is the legislation they're going to be passing moving forward once they've all sold everything? Right? Protect the dollar. Protect all the profits that they've made, all the profits they've put in their bank account, how to make those things worth more. So I don't think the dollar is going down for forever. And when people want to laugh at me for selling into dollars, be my guest. It probably will look silly when I do it. I don't care, because I think in the long run, it's the right play. Mic drop. But thank you for the super chat, Derek. Crypto Cypher. Oh, Cryptopher. Hey, what's going on? Do you have any additional plans for your super Twitter followers? We'd love to learn more about your techniques, especially Elliott Waves. I can only do so much on there, man. And I try not to make any promises of what it is. Multiple posts in there a week, obviously, but which is what I do. But no, I haven't decided, if I want it to become anything way more than that. It's already a pretty big time commitment. And I love doing that for you guys. But, whether, I just don't want to commit to more than I can put on my plate. If there becomes something that I'm like, you know what, I think I can consistently do this all the time, then I'll announce that. But I don't want to make any false promises. So I don't know yet. We'll see. And plus, as you know, like for super followers, you said especially you want to learn more, especially about Elliott waves. Man, have you guys seen what's been going on with my Twitter, man? It is driving me crazy. Anytime I post any type of long-winded thread, there's a bunch of people in there that can't see what I write. It gets blocked out. So like imagine trying to do like a bunch of 25 post threads on Elliott waves and half of them get blocked out and you can't read them. Oh my gosh. I'd be furious. All right, Steve asked super chat, hey, your macro Elliott wave count, do you leave any chance that we're in a complex correction and still have wave 5 for Bitcoin coming later this year or early 2023 or 0% chance? Appreciate you. Nothing is a 0% chance. There's a chance of anything, right? So, it's just where do you, at what point are you going to draw a rule? At what point do you say, hey, even if, let's say there's a 15% chance, how do you make a decision on a 15% chance, right? You have to kind of think, how are you going to balance that risk for yourself? So for me, the way I do things is exit 65%. I'm willing to lose all 35%. I'm willing for it to go to 0, but I'm willing to also risk it in case it goes higher, in case there's a statistical chance of it going higher. And it's very difficult to measure what is the real statistical probability. We can't sit here and put it in a random number generator and say this is what the percentage chances are. We have no idea what the real chances are. But what we can say is what are the things that we've seen happen in the market before. And so these are the things that have happened in the market before. If anybody wanting for 100K, there's no circumstances, 0 circumstances we can rely on to indicate 100K would happen. There are circumstances you can rely on to say like 85K could happen. There are that. And the only way for that, the only way you could lean on the chance of 85K is if you say, like we've gone through all these things and we've said, hey, these are the mega super cycles for Bitcoin. And that, we just didn't quite get out there. And that, it's going to get there. Bitcoin is going to hit, while Bitcoin did hit a 4.236 extension on its market cap chart, it didn't quite hit it over here. And right, so that's still not 85K, it's 78. Right? Let's make sure it's lined up right. If you want to take the stab at it, you could say that. But outside of that, there's nothing in 80K, pretty much 80K on the button to gamble that it's going to 100K. There's no circumstances in which there's a measurable way to say that could happen. It would have to deviate from anything it's ever done. Right? And I think what a lot of people get caught up in is what is the percentage of that you're going for? You're going for, even if it goes from right here, 41, let's go to 100,000. We're going for a whopping 141% life-changing, right? Put $1,000 into Bitcoin right here. Life-changing if it goes to 100K, right? Your $1,000 turns into 2,400. But 141%, gets you, like if you got to this high back here on XRP, that's equivalent to Bitcoin going to 100K. So I always talk about, when I'm talking about the BC Backer course at the end of it, I always include that part in there. I talk about mathematics and percentages and why those are so important to me, because it's the only thing that matters. 100K Bitcoin means nothing. It's a percentage is all it is. 100K Bitcoin is a 141% gain, and that's the only thing that it is. The question is, are the percentage opportunities higher elsewhere in the market? And I stick to my belief, and that I position my personal portfolio that there is. And hey, Bitcoin's moving up a little bit. Let's go check it out. Don't want to miss that. You guys are slacking, keeping me on my toes. And you guys probably are. You're probably screaming in the chat, dude, pull it up, man. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, that's it. There's no circumstances indicating that 100K could happen. It would have to deviate away from everything else for it to do that. The only thing that could indicate, so it's already hit the 4.236 extension on the market cap chart. Let's pretend that, hey, it is somehow going to recover and it's going to go on and hit it on the price chart. That's at 73.5, 73,500. Or if it's going to follow that fractal of full-blown super cycle, it's 80K, right? So there's always those chances in there, but I can't just guess based on those fractals that that's going to happen. I have to go based on, this is a bear market fractal. I mean, it's undeniable. This is bear market price action, unquestionably, right? It's taken from a bear market. All of this is taken from a bear market. This is not taken from a bullish time period. So you're going to have to find a way to kind of dismiss it in your head that, yeah, we're doing bear market things. This isn't bullish, but we're gonna break out and go higher, right? I'm not saying that you are, but that's the kind of mind games we're gonna have to play with ourselves for people who want to gamble on new all-time highs happening. Is that you have to say, we just acted like a bear market for 6 months, but we're not going to anymore. Even though in this circumstance of this happening, the next thing that came after the retracement, an equivalent price plunge for Bitcoin here would be like plunging to, 15K, 8K, 10K. A big, massive plunge coming afterwards is what this structure set up for after a retracement. So, to each their own. I have to take, based on my own risks, and mine will be at the retracement. So, okay. I am very far behind. I'm going to have to go through these, guys. I can't read all the questions. I sincerely apologize because I've let this thing go on for an hour and 36 minutes. I'm just going to ask a favor so I can get through these. Could you guys stop donating? I know that's so crazy to ask, but I would appreciate it if you did stop. I'm very grateful. But I do want to get through all these things and just kind of catch up so I can wrap it up. So if you guys could kind of chill out. If you want to support the channel, please hit the like button. That would be awesome. And please subscribe. That'd be fantastic. But okay, I'm going to go through these. If you guys could cool off on the super chats, I'd appreciate it so I can catch up. Thank you. Tyler Ginter, the super chat. How exactly did you get that 2018 fractal into TradingView from CoinTrader Pro? I didn't pull it from CoinTrader Pro. I pulled it from here. Let's get that off. That's what we were looking at earlier. You just go over here to this, what will be behind? It'll show long position here. Come over here, grab your bars pattern, grab it, and then you can stretch it appropriate to appropriate sizing that you need. Genos, I see you. All right. Steve Myers, the super chat. Thank you very much. Alpha Beta Soup, best analysis on YouTube, my guy. Well, thank you so much, TXMC. I always enjoy chatting with you. Super chat, or not super chat, chat. Let me ask you something. I've been bouncing an idea off this guy. He's a Bitcoin guy. He does a lot of on-chain stuff, like trying different stuff on the channel. Type in the chat, yes or no. Would it be cool if I brought him on the show and we just sat here and chatted about on-chain stuff and random stuff? I had that kind of podcasty kind of thing and brought a guy on the show. I think some of you guys watch TXMC over there on YouTube. That'd be pretty cool, right? I don't know. TXMC, you see all that? They're all saying no, dude. Just kidding. All right, that'd be kind of cool, right? Kind of battle it out. Not battle it out, because I don't like to pin against anybody. I don't like ever doing that. People always want me to have like battles with other TA guys. I never want to do that to anybody. It's anybody's TA. I'm not here to like make other people look bad. I'm just here to show my own stuff. Either it works out or it doesn't. But it'd be fun to bring him on and just talk some, on-chain stuff. See what he's got going on. Me and him have a lot of kind of good ideas and just macro stuff. I chat with him once in a while. That'd be cool. I think kind of a podcasty, chatty kind of thing would be kind of neat. Getting kind of, trying to get kind of comfortable with these live stream things, right? Been pretty crazy. Stepping out of my little comfort zone. Yeah, TXMC over there on YouTube with Alpha Beta Soup with TXMC. That's what it is. All right. Well, thank you for the donation, my man. The super chat. All right, DJ Frankie Flo with the super chat. If Blockchain Backer wasn't married, he'd probably have all the chicks begging for his attention. His wife is probably fighting off the ladies because the BCB is a very loyal guy. Yes, BC Backer wife. I hope you are hearing this. No, I'm very grateful for my wife, man. Very grateful. She's the champ. Stuck by me through thick and thin. It's very, life is a challenge for everybody. Everybody thinks the other person's got it all made. Life is full of hardships to get to where you're good. We all go through the difficult times together. But yes, I'll remind her of that later. But like, hey, baby. She'll be like, no, I'm not interested. And I'll be like, no. Remember what that one guy said? Remember what DJ Frankie Flo said? All right, moving on before I get in trouble. Grumpy Old Men, Shayesteru, super chatted. Hey, BCB, talked about letting go 60% of the ones on the big run, Bitcoin F88, but you still hold Ethereum Classic. I do, man. So Ethereum Classic came up just shy, and I was in a position in my life where I could not sell it. I had something going on, and that Ethereum Classic pump, it stayed up there and fell. It was only there for like a day. And then it was back lower, and there was just no escape for me. Because in that 3-day period, I wasn't in a position where I could do it. So I don't know. I'm going to watch the market. If I have to get out on a big retrace, I'll get out on a big retrace. Fingers crossed, I can create all kinds of scenarios on Ethereum Classic going to new all-time highs. And I'm hopeful for it. But we'll watch and see what happens as the market retraces. It got a lot higher than ADA on its fibs and dropped more than ADA. Why hold ETC and sell 60% ADA? Well, that's because ADA hit my target. Ethereum Classic, it came up like $5 short. Quinton Underwood, super chatted. BC, for the macro scenario, is there anyone whose opinion you value? Greg Menorino and Danielle DiMartino Booth tend to get my attention. Just wondering if there's anyone else you might recommend. I've been following some new people over there on Twitter, and it's hard for me to say like there's one person. I value a lot of people's opinions, but I find flaws in everybody. Like you guys should find flaws in me, but I wouldn't say there's any like one person where I'm like, oh, they're the holy grail. It's more of like just finding a big group of people, listening to all their opinions, and seeing if you can find some confluence amongst all their opinions. Where they're not like necessarily agreeing with each other, but they're coming to the same conclusions by looking at different sets of data. That's kind of what I try to do. So I like listening to Danielle DiMartino Booth. I know Greg's not on Twitter anymore, so I don't have time to like sit around and watch his YouTube videos, but they're entertaining. If I have time, I'll try to, but it's usually not more than like once a month that I get a chance to. But yeah. I wish he was on Twitter. All right. PL super chatted. Hey, BC, I think tomorrow XRP will have its day. Yeah, well, I hope so. I showed what happened during the last run. And man, if we're in retracement, it took 27 days for XRP. Fingers are crossed we can do something like that again. But fractals have been a nightmare, but fingers crossed. Bitcoin XRP looks finished. Also, I think this time window will be short 5 to 8 days. Hope for us some hope for us with fingers crossed. I can't predict time. So 5 to 8 days, I'll take it. But you know what happens with 5 to 8 days? You better be sitting at your computer at 3:32 in the morning when it happens for the brief second that it does. If it goes at that second, the time window to get out, like we were just talking with Ethereum Classic, it didn't stay up there long. It went up and down fast. You had to either have sell orders set or you had to be sitting at the computer capable of being able to do it at the moment that it happened. Or I guess you can do it from your phone if you do things like that. But yeah, I hope it isn't 5 to 8 days. I would like a little bit more time than that. But thank you, PL. LKNC Super Chat, planning my exit strategy. Is it possible to just use Bitcoin reaching 56, 57 to exit across the board or exit each project at different points in the retrace? Right. So that's kind of how my thought process is. Once it gets up in here, right, the conditions start getting met. So I'm thinking for me right now, even though we're not in the moment, so I don't know yet, but that once it gets up in here, that may have to be the thing. It's just looking at, well, if Bitcoin's in here, is it the time? Right? And everybody's going to do it different. Everybody's going to say, I need to sell 100% right here, right now, because I know it. If that's not how I do things, I ladder out. So I can keep my emotions in check. Because things do get emotional when you're selling and you're buying and you're doing things. And if you're all in and all out, it's the most emotional way to do things. But if I do things in a ladder, I don't feel so emotional when I'm doing them. I don't question myself so much when I'm doing them. Mighty with the super chat. Thank you very much. Sam Rosman with super chat. With Bitcoin not going to 75 to 85K as expected, well, 68K was really the threshold. Do you expect XRP to top lower than expected too? The $11 to $13, I think it was. Well, if you say that, hey, it was the market cap that mattered for Bitcoin, if we want to say that, it's XRP's market cap still gets you in there. It still gets you to like $12 almost. $11.90, I think was the last time I checked. Nope. And again, both of them peaked above market cap, above 4.236 on market caps. Adventure Health Personal, but thank you, Sam. Adventurous Health Personal Fitness is super chatted 10. Luna been on a week-long run. Is it an 8-week hold candidate? I don't know. I don't follow it. The last time the thing about Luna is gone on a major bull run, I believe. I don't follow it. But if it's already gone on a major bull run, I believe that's one of the few coins that has gone massive. That if Luna's just in a retrace, I don't know. Quazaz. Do you care about volume right now? Crypto doesn't look excited for alt season. Well, you can look at this right here. You can look back and you'll see that rounding bottoms don't tend to have huge volumes and rounding bottoms. Jimmy Hinton, how high can Telcoin and Vet? Thank you. I don't follow either one of them. I know they both get shilled all over Twitter, and if they're being shilled, that's the concern I have for those things. Who's the person on the other side dumping them? I don't know. Sorry, Jimmy. Crypto Trip super chat. Hey BCB, I have a funny feeling the conflicts in Ukraine will end close to Bitcoin hitting 702 and the stock market topping. What do you think? All right, so you have to think about narratives, right? What was it? Was it scary in here or was it exciting in here? Right? It was very scary, right? It was very scary down in here. You had all the negative news. You had China banning Bitcoin mining. You had Elon Musk FUD campaign. What else you have? You had grayscales. Bitcoin was getting unlocked. All of it was very negative down in here, right? But what should everybody have done? They should have bought, right? Up here, what was the narrative? Nothing. We're going to the moon. We're going to 100K. We're going to 200K. Forget it. We're going to 300K, man. Everything was great, right? What happened right here? Big geopolitical event, right? Scary, scary, scary. What would be expected here? It's going to look like sunshine and rainbows. It's going to look freaking awesome. There's going to be something, some news narrative, something that's going to make it feel impossible to sell, I would expect. And we just saw that happen with gold. We saw that happen where gold took a year and a half to get back to its 702 Fibonacci retracement. And what happened? Everybody's FOMOing into gold now. Everybody. So, and you don't know what kind of narrative will come to create something like that. But man, I would sure think so. But to say whether or not it'll have anything to do with Ukraine or not, I don't know. Will it be that, you could get a plethora of things because you think of all the things that are overhanging right now. What are the things that are overhanging right now? Crypto regulation from the White House, right? There's apparently some executive order or something that's overhanging right now. You have the Ukraine and Russia conflict. You have the Federal Reserve set to rise interest rates, right? Well, what happens if there was, and we know that consumer sentiment right now is extremely low. The consumer sentiment is so low right now. I think it's down to like 2013 levels. And savings rate is incredibly low. So if people aren't saving, and if consumer sentiment is incredibly low, and if inflation is right, are they really going to be able to raise the interest rates? So what happens if the Fed comes out and says, we're not going to be raising interest rates? What happens if Ukraine and Russia come to some type of peace deal and everything kind of de-escalates from where it's at right now? And what was the other one? I had 3. Oh, and then the White House comes out and says, we love cryptocurrency, right? That's what nobody expects. We love it. It's the best. What if those things happen all at one time, right? And create a ton of excitement, right? Then people will be like, how could you possibly sell? All risks are off the table now. Everything is happy and euphoric. And, the Fed, they're never going to raise interest rates. They're always going to make it so that the dollar is worthless and going down, 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 down. It's once you all get caught, everybody gets caught in that belief, right? So I think that, that's possible. That the next phase is just like lack of belief in the Fed. We'll see. Genos with the super chat. Hey, great pick me up. Love your work. Send it in March. Please send it. Thanks, Genos. Evan Evanksta super chat. BCB, the GOAT. Love your TA, man. Can you please show us other examples of 4.236 extension levels besides Bitcoin and ETH? I'll try to find some more and bring them up. But I can't really dig around right now. But I'll find some more for you. Present them on the channel. Eric M. I would just go through a lot of them that go back through the 2018 bull run. That's what I'd say. Go to the Wayback Machine, look and see what was in the top 50 from 2017 in December of 2018. In December of 2017, January 2018, go to the Wayback Machine, CoinMarketCap, go through that list, and you can spot it several times in there. Eric M. Super Chat. Hey, BCB, what's going on? Just wondering how you would typically ladder out of your altcoins once your targets get close. Thanks. Right. I usually try to make it as few as possible, usually just 3 to 4 ladders. You can sit there and do 5%, then 10%, then 15, then 20, 25, 30, and do a bunch of them. But I also have to keep in mind, I have to put all this down on my taxes at some point. And it's more entries that I have to do. So that's just kind of what makes me comfortable. Usually 3 or 4. Worm 5. Can you say something about Songbird and Solo? Many of us hold those coins. Well, they were free airdrops, right? So, I mean, if you're not familiar with, that's why I don't talk about them. Airdrops just have a tendency to crash. Take the money and run is my thought with airdrops. But yeah, I mean, they're both just, crashing. If they rise back up, I'm not here to argue the utility of any of them. They may have utility, they may not, and I talked about this when Flare came out back in 2020, right? I presented what airdrops are, and airdrops are a form of marketing. It doesn't mean it's not going to work. It doesn't mean that the project can't run and have a longevity and be very successful that originates from an airdrop. But 99% of the time, and that's a huge exaggeration, airdrops are typically dumps. Typically. And the thing I didn't like about Songbird, and I'm going to say it, I've held it in for long enough. The thing I didn't like about Songbird, and mind you, I never talk about Songbird. I did not like that you had to hold Flare. Okay, you had to hold XRP to get Flare, then to get Songbird, and then to maintain the price of Songbird for like 4 months of distribution to get XFi, right? It was like, here's an airdrop, and you have to hold this airdrop and maintain the value and build a hype machine about another airdrop for this airdrop while that one's getting dumped. Whatever. I don't know. I don't follow it. I don't know if that's true or not, but it rubbed me wrong. I had gotten out of my Songbird already. Not saying it can't rise back up to 30 cents or something like that, but I don't know. The reality is we don't have our Flare yet, and it's 2022. And, you know, we could sit here and say, yeah, it just takes a long time to build these things out. Whatever. That's my opinion. Whatever. All right. Yashkin, the super chat. No more donating, guys. Gino's, yeah, you do. Okay, I'll stop this time. Excellent super chat. 5. I was watching you for a year, man. Thanks for all your help and hard work. Bullish Brian, super chat. Hey, backer. Hey, BC backer. Any thoughts on Theta? Again, another one on Theta. Theta must be going through a pump or something like that. Just be mindful if it's a retracement or not. Slim super chat. What are your thoughts on QNT? Has it already had its run? I'm not sure. I don't follow QNT, brother. Sorry, Slim. Just, you know, has it broken past its 2018 top? If it wasn't around in 2018, did it rise 20,000%? If it rose 20,000% or something, and it doesn't have a historical context, it probably has. I don't know. Bishy Boy, super chat backer. Have a blessed day. Thank you very much. Edward Hill coming in twice. Thank you, Edward Hill. I don't know if that's an accident or not, but thank you very much. All right, guys. Can you believe this? I'm all caught up. And that's it. I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill the stream. I love you guys. Can you hit that like button if you don't mind? I sincerely appreciate it. All right, guys, can you believe it? We're here. Bitcoin has broken up, and we're still following the fractal from back in 2018. I think it's probably the most ludicrous thing that we're still doing it. It's great to see the altcoin market going with it. When we look at what happened in here, it's stalled out for a couple of days. We'll see if it stalls out as well here, and if the altcoin market can keep going with it. A lot of questions in here of when Moon. Fingers crossed, even if Bitcoin stalls, it sure would be nice to see those altcoins get going, because you can see the timetable on this, about 25 days. So if it does follow that and it takes 25 days, we know that's about how long alt seasons can last. So we want to see things get moving and get moving quickly, at least I would think, if it's going to continue following this, which it, I have to always phrase it with that. I wish for the last 6 months to be like, I guarantee it's going to follow this perfectly. But I can't, because it's ludicrous. It's crazy. Especially through everything that happened last week, which I'm sure a lot of people got shooken out during that craziness that happened in there. But can you believe it? There we have it. All right. Genius again. No, don't go backer. But all right. I'm going to do it, guys. I appreciate you all coming out. I hope I answered a lot of questions. It's celebratory to see that this has happened. And, as we're all on pins and needles now, I think that's kind of the thing that you could see from a lot of the questions of when, that we're like, okay, if it's happening, we got to get going. And I'm right there with you. That seems to be the thing that we need to cross our fingers for. So pray for it to get going. And what we saw over there, let me see, do I still have XRP pulled up in here? Pray. That tomorrow is our day. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't do it. Fudverse is over here doing it, man. Rocket ships, right? All right, rocket ships in the chat for good luck. Let me do it too. Hold on. Do I have my own emojis? I gotta have emojis. Yeah, see, even there you go. Rocket ships for good luck. All right. Man, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for all the questions. There we go. We're going crazy. Yeah. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming out. I'll catch you guys over there on Twitter, but let me go through my spiel. Again, for those who are enrolled in the Blockchain Backer course, that market update was added there earlier today. Otherwise, let's pray tomorrow's our day. Fingers crossed. All right, guys, that's it. That's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel and watching my live stream. If you could, please like this live stream before you exit the door. What else? I don't usually say that. That's always weird. And subscribe to my channel. All right. But as always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need to pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, the Blockchain Backers got your back. Have a good one, guys.